Hello everyone, and welcome to this segment of our training module where we will run through an introduction to the LX line and discuss wall mounting. The LX line of boilers from NTI ranges between an LX 150 all the way up through to the LX 800. There are two versions of the 150. There's a standard 150 and then there's a high efficiency version, the LX 150E. Both modulate between 25,000 and 150,000 BTUs, and the standard 150 carries an AFUE rating of 95.1%, and the high efficiency model carries an AFUE rating of 97%. There's also a 200 that the input modulation ranges from 25,000 up to 199, and the AFU rating on that model is also 95.1%, as is the rating on the 300, which will modulate between 55,000 and 275,000 BTUs per hour. There's a 400,000 BTU boiler that the input modulation will range from 75,000 up to 399. The steady state efficiency rating is 94.0%. Then there is an 800,000 BTU boiler, the LX 800. The modulation range goes from 160 up to 800,000 BTUs, and it also carries a steady state efficiency rating of 94.0%. You'll also see on the table here there's a recovery rate in gallons per hour. And the reason that that's on here is the 200 through 800 on the LX line is a dual certified appliance. It can be used as a boiler, obviously, but also can be used as a direct flow water heater. So it can be plumbed with the potable water flowing directly through the heat exchanger itself and then dumping off into a storage tank. The intention is from a commercial application, high volume hot water, as opposed to a domestic application or residential application tied directly into fixtures. These appliances are intended to be used with storage tanks. From a recovery rate perspective, when used as a water heater, the 200,000 will give you 224 gallons per hour, 310 from the 300, the 400 will deliver 450, and the 800,000 when used as a direct flow water heater will deliver 902 gallons per hour. And then you'll also see the weights in pounds per model as well. In terms of wall mounting, the 150 through to the 400 can all be wall mounted. Now that's an option to wall mount it. They certainly can be floor mounted as well right out of the box, but they also right out of the box can be wall mounted, so you have either option. If you do intend to wall mount these models, the 150 and 200, the configuration looks like this. You'll find a bracket attached to the back of the appliance, basically held in place by two small sheet metal screws. Remove those screws and then you can take that bracket right off the back of the unit. You can then hang that bracket on the wall, obviously using anchors or leg bolts that are strong enough to support the weight of the unit. And then once that is on the wall, then basically you can lift the appliance and slide these tabs of the bracket right into the slots that are on the back of the appliance. And the top of that slot needs to sit right down in the bottom of that groove that's on the tab on the bracket. Once that's in place, there's also a bottom bracket that you can find in the box included along with the boiler, and it just tabs into place onto the bottom of the unit. You can pull the bottom of the unit out from the wall a little bit, attach that bottom bracket, and then let the unit go back flush with the wall and attach that bottom bracket to the wall itself. And basically that is to just make sure that the unit can't be bumped and knocked off that upper bracket. The 300 and 400 are also wall mountable. Again, can be floor mounted directly out of the box, but if chosen, can certainly be wall mounted as well. The concept is basically the same, except the configuration is a little bit different than the 150 and 200. The bracket, you'll actually notice that there are two brackets on the back of the appliance. The bracket that needs to be removed is the one that's along the bottom edge of the back of the unit. You'll find a couple of sheet metal screws that you just remove those and that bracket can come off. You then place that bracket on the wall. Again, make sure it's level and make sure that the leg bolts that you're using are strong enough to carry the weight of the unit. Once that's in place, the bracket that's on the top of the unit will basically slide down in behind the bracket that you've just hung on the wall. The two will lock into place, and that will basically carry the weight of the unit. There's a bottom bracket that needs to be installed. You can keep these sheet metal screws that you took off to remove the first bracket and use those to attach the bottom bracket to the bottom of the unit, and then attach that bracket to the wall to ensure that it is not going to move. And that's basically covering off the wall mounting of the LX line. I hope you found that information of value, and thanks again for your support.